Are you coming in today?
I told my assistant I was handling some personal stuff. Hi. How is she?
Oh.
If Molly can't make it, we just would have to keep hanging out.
Let me just call her.
Hey, what you doing? Reading a book with your reading ass?
What's going on, fam? It's your man, VACAY-J. And if you're loving Insecure, definitely go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Absolutely like and comment below. We're going to get into episode 5, the recap for Insecure. And yes, this was a very intense episode. So if you missed any episode, definitely go back to my Insecure playlist and check out all the episode recaps that I've done so you can get all caught up on everything. All right, so we're going to get into episode 5, and here's the title. The title's called Surviving Okay, and the description reads, a family emergency finds Molly stretched thin. Issa and her new man grow closer than ever. All right, so we're going to get into this, and definitely shout out to Emmy Award-winning Kerry Washington for directing this one right here. All right. So we're going to break down episode 5. I'm going to do my best. If I forgot anything, definitely comment below. Let me know. But we're going to break this down. All right, here we go. Ready, set, let's do it. All right, so we find Molly is having a good time with a random guy, and she's definitely, letting them know to call her name. And she's doing her thing. She's smiling. She's having fun. She's definitely enjoying herself in the moment with this random guy. And definitely it's an intense moment for her. You know, Molly's definitely stretching herself out and she's having fun now, doing her thing. But she gets a whole lot of notifications that she missed a call from her dad and from Jerome and from her brothers. And she's like, what's going on? So she definitely checks her messages. And, the guy's trying to talk to her. She's like, hello, be quiet for a second. She listens to the message and she's like, oh, no. And she runs out of there, runs to the hospital. She sees her dad there. She sees her family there. And Molly is definitely really nervous, and everybody's pretty much nervous. She's walking around the waiting room and it looks pretty intense, for her dad to be there and her mom not to be there definitely is very concerning. Her brothers are there. And they're absolutely nervous and, real anxious about everything that's going on. And Molly's just trying to, make them feel like, hey, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. The doctor comes and the whole family stands up. Looks like it's her brothers and her aunt. And the doctor's like, hey, listen, we've done all that we could. And now's the time for you guys to come and say goodbye. And they're like, what? Say goodbye? What's going on? They're really shocked. Like, what is happening? He's like, yeah, now's the time. Come with me. I'm going to show you where she is so you can say your goodbyes. And of course, Molly's like, oh my God, what you mean? What do you mean? Goodbye? Like, why do I have to say goodbye? Like, she's in disbelief. So the doctor brings them in to where this patient is, where they think her mom is, but it's not even her mom. It's some other lady. And they're like, that's not our mother, So they're talking to the doctor and her father's like, you think that's my contemporary? Like, how old do you think I am? And Molly's like, listen, that is not my mother. What is going on? Like, where, the brother's like, what type of place are you running here? Like, this is not our mom. Like, seriously, like, what's going on? So they're telling her what her name is. And, the doctor's like, oh, it's been really intense and everything. And then the other guy comes in, probably one of the nurses is like, oh, we got to bring the family in. And they turn around and look at the family and they're just like, they're in disbelief. Like, this is not our mother. And they look at the family, and the family looks very similar to them, right? But again, it looks like the doctor's just like, oh, it's just another black family. So he apologizes and says, yeah, it's been real crazy in here. We've been short-staffed. and they finally go and show where her mother is. And Molly, she can't really step inside the room. She's kind of in shock. But of course, her dad is there, and she's looking at her mom in the bed. Looks like she had a stroke, but she is stable. So Molly definitely is just like really upset about what's going on, and everybody's in disbelief, just trying to, comfort her father in this time. And remember, Molly was trying to get them to get their estate planning together for situations like this, right? So they try to talk to, her father, but her father's like, listen, I'm not right now. So Molly goes outside with the nurse and says, hey, listen, he can't really handle this, but add my name, onto the emergency contact list. You can contact me and we can talk about it. Now we shoot over to Issa. She's laying in bed. She's just waking up. And your boy Nathan comes through with some coffee and all of that. Obviously, they got together, and they're talking about how, they had a great time and everything, and trying to figure out what the day is looking like, and he's like, well, I was supposed to go to the barbershop, but a couple of my folks canceled on me. And she's like, well, me and Molly was supposed to be getting up for, lunch or whatever. But that, she's like, yeah, well, sometimes Molly, she changes plans, and, because it's a work week for Molly. So sometimes he changes the plans up. So, they're like, Nathan's like, hey, well, I guess if Molly can't hang out, we might as well just hang out together. We might as well do our thing. And she's like, well, do you want some me time? Not me time, but like, time for yourself. And he's like, nah, we can hang out. I got some time. So, they're going back and forth, googly eying and all of that. They're definitely feeling each other. And she's like, listen, I don't want to take up too much of your space. And she's being real considerate. But he's like, nah, it's cool. Like, I guess we're just going to have to hang out. You know what I'm saying? It's not a problem, if Molly's not available. We don't want to waste, an appointment at whatever. We can go and just chill or whatever. So she's like, how about you just give her a call? So she calls her and she's like, hey, what are you doing? Reading the book, like you always doing. And he's laughing and chuckling about it. But she's looking and she's listening to the phone and talking to Molly. And it's like, oh, my God, right? So jump in the car. Nathan takes her to the hospital. And he's like, are you okay? She's like, yeah, this is crazy. I just saw her the other day. So she's like, thanks for dropping me off. So Molly's in there, reading the magazine, just trying to keep her mind at ease. Her aunt is over there talking about, yeah, I got a strange cough. It's a cancer. And then Issa comes upstairs and she gets off the elevator. And she's like, how's it going? Do you need anything? I'm here for you. And, she let her know that, yeah, her mom had a stroke. And, she's stable right now, but she's non-responsive. And it's pretty intense. So Issa's just trying to be there for, Molly, being a great friend that she is. They got back tight. So, Molly's like, hey, you need some clothes or whatever. I can go back to the house, and get some clothes for you because, I know you got your outfit on and all this and that. I know you rushed over here. And she's like, yeah, that'll be great. I'm just trying to hold down the family or whatever the case is. They're really, really just kind of sad right now. And, Issa is definitely being a really, really good friend right now. And that's something that she needs. Molly needs that right now, because Molly's been back and forth, just trying to find herself. And she's in a real, crazy situation, crazy position. So they change up the clothes. Issa's like, oh, shoot, she looking good and all this and that. Molly's like, yeah, you look good. And Issa's like, yeah, you look good too. And they start laughing, and Issa's like, hey, I tried. But she's just like, yeah, I'm glad you came, and I appreciate you. And, of course, they give each other a hug, saying that they love each other, and that's what friends are for, just being there for each other, right? And that's what it's all about. So she's like, listen, I'm going to go and get some clothes for you and everything else like that, and I'm going to change up, and then I'll be back. So she comes out of the hospital, right? And then this patient's like, oh, you look like a model. And then the lady next to her, she's, Issa's like, oh, thank you. And then the ladies next to her is like, oh, she's high right now. She's like, oh, okay. She's like, I guess that wasn't a real compliment. So she gets in the car with Nathan, And Nathan's like, how's she doing? And Issa's like, yeah, it's not looking too good, but I do need to go home, really go to Molly's house and just exchange of clothes for her and change out of this outfit or whatever the case is. So I guess we can, just go over there and help my friend out and we can hang out for a little bit. And she's like, I don't want to take you out of your way. He's like, nah, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. So they go to the house and Nathan's looking at, the parents and Molly's picture. He's like, yo, she looked just like her mom. She's like, yeah. And, she's going through some clothes. And, Nathan's like, yeah, I'm definitely here for you, whatever you need. And it's like, looks like she has a dog. And the dog is there just walking around. She's like, oh, yeah, she loves him and all this and that. He's probably housebroken or whatever. And Nathan's like, hey, we got to feed him, walk him, whatever. She's like, okay, I'll walk him. So we go back to the hospital and, Molly and her parents, her dad is talking and Molly's getting, text from the guy that she was with and she's not paying attention to none of that right now. Her mom's in the hospital. Her aunt is on the phone, talk about, Betty want to pray for them right now. And Molly's like, listen, this is not a good time. She's like, can you send a text? Can you send a text prayer? So it is what it is. They try to throw a little comedy in there in this intense moment, kind of like to break up the intensity. But, Molly's definitely concerned about, the mom and the estate and everything. And, they didn't get the estate planning done, and she was kind of upset about that. So Molly gets a call from the office and, the guy's just like, hey, when are you coming in? And Molly's like, listen, I have some personal stuff. I can't really come in right now. So he's like, oh, he said, listen, we got that branding, that project that needs to be done. Do you think you're going to be able to get it done? And she's like, nah, I just need a little bit more time. How long do you think, how long do you need it? How long can I work on it and give it back to you? And he's like, well, we need it kind of like right now for the project. And he's like, listen, I can give it to somebody else. She's like, nah, I'm going to take care of it. So now we shoot back and see the little dog, Mr. Flavor Flav. That's the name of the dog, Flavor Flav. And Nathan's like, you want to walk the dog? She's like, nah, you got it. He's like, nah, I wasn't really asking, right? So he gives her the leash. And she's now on FaceTime with her mom because she sent the mom a message and said, hey, I really miss you. And sent a real sentimental message being that Molly's mom's in the hospital. And she's talking and they're chopping it up. And she's asking what she's doing for the next 8 Sundays. They need to get together. And, Nathan's in the background. He's just chilling or whatever. She's like, who you keep looking at? And he's like, how you doing, Miss D? So he gets on FaceTime. And she's like, let me talk to this boy. Let me see what this boy is all about. So, she's like, is that your boyfriend? And Nathan's like, yeah, I'm a boyfriend. So she's looking at him like, oh, okay, it's like that. So, she wants to get on the phone with him. The mom wants to get on the phone. He's like, hey, how you doing? He's like, oh, okay, I see you looking like little Steph Curry and all of that, right? So they're having a good conversation, but she starts to get, more questions going on and start asking him questions about this and that. And, Issa's just like, all right, that's it. She's like, I'll talk to you later, Mom. So they get off the phone, and while they're talking, they're chopping it up, and she starts looking at him. He starts looking at her, and she's like, is it cool, that, you say that, you're my boyfriend? And she's like, yeah, it's cool, it's all right, so... they're chopping it up kind of like googly eyeing a little bit, but they're not paying attention to the dog at all. They're just kind of like in the moment, just kind of feeling each other. And, for the fact that he said that he's her boyfriend, so she's liking what's going on. She's liking the vibe and she just doesn't want to put any pressure on him to, make him feel like he's obligated to be her boyfriend. They want to take it slow. So meanwhile, Flavor Flav gets off his leash and he is out. Flavor Flav is gone. Flavor Flav is gone. They look down, they're like, oh, shoot, where'd he go? Right? He's gone. Flavor Flav is out. Now back to the hospital. We got Molly and, the family, and they're just looking over her mom and making sure everything is cool and everything's all right. The son is just talking about, paprika and stuff like that. And she's really just kind of like going through WebMD and asking questions and asking the nurse questions. And they're like, oh, you're one of those, right? And, the brothers are like, yo, let her do her job. Let the nurse do her job. And she's just really, really intense about things. And she's like, well, we're just waiting for the stats to come back. It's obvious that she had a stroke before. And Molly's like, nah, she didn't have a stroke. But her dad is like, actually, she did have a stroke before. And Molly's like, really? Why didn't you tell us? He's like, yo, she promised, she told me that she wouldn't, allow me to tell you guys because I didn't want to worry you guys. And she's like, how am I going to help you guys if you keep pretending like everything is okay? So, Molly's really intense right now. She wants to help her parents out, but, they're not really cooperating. So now here we go with Nathan and Issa. They're walking the block talking about Flavor Flav. Where are you, Flavor Flav? Who names their dog Flavor Flav, right? So, they're like, Issa's like, man, I'm messing up. I'm trying to help out my friend and now I lose her dog. And, Nathan's just comforting her, being patient with her. He's like, listen, it's going to be all right. Don't worry about it. They keep calling the dog's name. And then he starts to tell a story about how, they had a dog and the dog got off the leash or the neighbors just was messing with him and they let the dog out. And the dog kind of was like, spraying the area, laying their trail down so they could walk back and trail back to the house. So long story short, he told the story about the dog and how, he was going to get in trouble if he didn't get the dog. And the dog ended up being back on the porch. And he's like, yeah, if he didn't get back on the porch, he was going to blame, his brother for that. So she's like, I'm going to blame you if the dog don't come back. So they laugh and have a moment. So now we got the doctor. And the doctor's telling, Molly that, it doesn't look good. The stroke that she had definitely is going to make her immobile. And she's not going to be able to, move again. And she's like, nah, test again. And she's like, nah, that's all that we can do. So he's like, I can come back and tell the family. And she's like, nah, I'll tell the family. So they come in and, the father's like, what happened? What happened? And she proceeds to tell him, she's going to tell him that she's not going to be able to move and come out of this. So now we see Issa and Nathan and they go back to Molly's house and they're waiting. And they're like, listen, he better come back. Issa's like, yo, he's a dumb dog. And then guess who we see? We see Flavor Flav, and he actually does come back to the house. So Nathan's like, see, he's not a dumb dog at all. She's like, yeah, he's not. And, they have a little moment, and she's like, you know what? I really, really appreciate you. I'm glad you were here for me, because you're very patient with me. And Issa's like, that's why I love you. And, they have a little moment. They stare in each other's eyes. And Nathan doesn't say, I love you back. But he does give her a kiss, to acknowledge, what she just said. Right. So he didn't say I love you back, but definitely she was being open and transparent with him. So they have a moment and they hug and they're sitting on the bench and they have Flavor Flav back. Now Issa goes and she goes back to the hospital. She changes up and, Molly's just really regretting not being, calling her as much and really being intense with her mom and she wish she had more moments. And Issa's just trying to be the best friend that she can be to let her know that she's doing a great job. She has a great job and she's raising a smart dog, right? She told about Flavor Flav and everything. And she's really just trying to, comfort her in this time. This is a very intense time. She's like, you're doing an amazing job. Don't think because you're not married yet and you don't have kids, listen, we're both in the same position. You're going to be all right. Your mom's going to be okay. You're doing well. So don't regret what's going on right now. Just know that you're doing a great job. So she's like, listen, you want me to get something for you? Want me to get some coffee for you, whatever? I'm going to go get some coffee. She's like, yeah, I'm going to go do that, So Issa, again, is being a great friend, and she goes and she leaves her, Molly with her mom. And, again, Molly's just like regretting a lot of things, really just reflecting on things that she could have done more to be there for her mom, right? So she's really just taking this time to just be right next to her mom and trying to comfort her as she's recovering. So Issa goes down the hall. She's going to find some coffee. She has a little traffic jam with the guy, and then she looks down the hall and she sees, somebody says, hey, Eli, you ready? And it's Condola. Condola is with the baby. So she backs up in the corner. She's looking around the corner and Condola's like, yeah, we're here to see the doctor, with Eli and everything. And she's like, what is going on? I see Condola. And she keeps looking. And then there goes your boy Lawrence. He pops up to give, a blanket to Condola and Eli, right? So she's just looking on like, okay, I see what's going on here. They did have the baby, and Lawrence is right there. He's looking at Condola, and then he looks down the hall and he sees Issa standing right there, and they lock eyes like, oh, shoot, like, wow. Like, this is the first time they've seen each other since, they had the little moment and little breakup, and Lawrence moved on and they both moved on. Again, this is right after Issa says, I love you to Nathan. So she walks across the hall and then she just stands there and she's just like, man, I can't believe this. Like, I seen Lawrence, I seen Condola, I see the baby. This is right after I said, I love you to Nathan. And, this is a very intense moment, and Lawrence is still looking down that hall like, okay, I see you. You're going to say hi. You're not going to say anything. And Issa's just standing there like in disbelief, like, wow, I can't believe this. So what is she going to do? Is Issa going to say anything to Lawrence and Condola? Is she going to do it? We saw a little bit of the next episode. So yes, she is going to say something, and they are going to acknowledge each other. But yes, this was a very intense episode. We definitely praying for, Molly's mom, and that she does get better. But a lot was going on in this one. Definitely shout out to Issa and Kerry Washington for directing this. Definitely a great, episode right here, right? Definitely about life and about, just being in the moment and taking the moment to really, cherish the people around you, because you never know, when they're going to be gone. So this is the recap of episode 5 of Insecure. Definitely a great episode. Definitely type below. Give me some comments as to what you believe and what you think was going on in this episode. I definitely thought it was a solid episode. All right. So you know what it is. It's your man, VACAY-J. I'm out. Salute.